Eagles prove last night?
They'll always be interesting.
That's true.
And they are kind of the perfect team for today's media ecosystem and the city in which they play. Because there'll always be, it feels like, some measure of controversy. These days, typically courtesy of a replay of the tush push, where it's like, oh yeah, jumped again. There will more often than not be a little bit of lunacy. Like, wait, Sirianni's doing what? I thought Troy Aikman might leave the booth to go have a stern talking to with Nick Sirianni when he decided to go for that 4th and 6 at the end of the game. There's often some ominous stories, which is once, like, I really enjoyed Troy and Joe, and it seems like they give us a little extra, because all the play-by-play duos get info that they don't then share in those pre-production meetings. And when they were talking with Jalen Hurts and asking about his relationship with A.J. Brown, and then Joe just offers up, it's like, yeah, and I wish you could share what he told you after that story.
Joe went a little far. I bet Troy was like...
Exactly. But it just so it will always have all of these peaks and valleys, and usually in a win. And so it's just, listen, if you guys remember after week 1 of the season, I was super down on the Eagles because I was like, ooh, that defense took a huge step back. The defense has steadily improved. The additions, clearly, most notably Phillips, mattered. And the defense more than carried the day. They are clearly an excellent team. They're the defending champs. They played a brutal schedule. They're 7-2. But the offense is weird. And the A.J. Brown thing is more than weird.
Yeah.
It's inexplicable. So it's just who they're going to be. And I just think it's going to continue on the saga of, more often than not, they find a way to win. And you leave the game scratching your head like, what a weird team and a weird game.
Yeah, to me, they proved they are the team to beat in the NFC. Now, you might say, well, they're the defending champs, so of course. Yeah. But I think they went out and showed they're the best team in the conference. And actually, I think they're the best team in the league. Like, that was a great win. And you're right, the offense obviously left a lot to be desired. But defensively, they came out, and you mentioned the new additions. Jalen Phillips, 7 pressures. They had trouble getting to quarterbacks. And now, all of a sudden, last night they get 3 sacks. They had been averaging about 2 a game. So, that's improved, at least for a night. And Nolan Smith had a sack. Yep. Phillips forced the fumble out Josh Jacobs late in the game. So defensively, like you said, Nick, they're starting to grow. And then offensively, you're right, they're a little bit strange, but
I mean, it's more than a little strange, right?
Well, look, you have games where it's not clicking. And I know they have more. I don't think it'd be as talked about if A.J. Brown wasn't doing his little antics. If A.J. Brown doesn't come out this week and say anything, they're going to move right on. Like, this is a good win. Okay. I think this is a good win. This shows your quarterback, who always seems, when he needs to make a play, makes a play. He made the 36-yard touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. I mean, he came through. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not down on this win at all for Philadelphia. They went into another playoff team, Super Bowl contender, something. I think went into their house and beat them on their own turf. We know it was a grudge match between the two teams. So it was ugly. It was hard fought. But I'll take some of those.
Brew is spot on right here. I'm not prepared to say any team is clearly the best team in the NFL. So that's not my take, to be clear. About any team right now, whether it's the Eagles or whoever. But I really do appreciate what Brew is saying here. I'm not even going to address the whole tush-push nonsense in the false start, because literally the Packers had a false start, and that tripping call that wasn't called with Micah Parsons, we're not even going to get into that. But it seems more than ever right now, which is so crazy because we are in such peak offensive era of football in the NFL with all the rule changes and quarterback play and coaching. that it's just defense right now. It's just if your defense can come up with the stops and make life miserable for the other quarterback, it just seems like right now in this moment of time, whether it's because of how the teams are constructed, because of the balance or imbalance of offensive play calling, I don't know exactly, but it just feels like it just seems so hard for these quarterbacks right now to overcome truly great defenses and just even situationally defensive moments. We saw it against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs versus Buffalo Bills. Like, it wasn't just because Josh Allen played so much better than Patrick Mahomes, and that's why it was like the defense made life absolutely miserable for Patrick Mahomes. And in this game right now, it came down to who's going to be able to make that play, who can just get through it and make that key play. And it was Jalen Hurts and not Jordan Love. And it was a combination between the defenses for both teams rising to the occasion, and the Eagles especially, even just, making life miserable for also Josh Jacobs, who was a monster, honestly, in that game. He had to fight for every single yard he got, and credit for him, he got through. But then you had some of these, in this gotta have it moment, what happens, right? The Eagles knew exactly what the Packers were going to run, swallowed it up, fumble, game, set, match. And so I do think that this was a really big win. I live streamed this game, so a lot of people saw, my thoughts in real time, and we were talking back and forth, and so many people kept, everyone kind of goes in and out of the live stream, and everyone kept kind of coming in and be like, oh, the Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love are trash, or, oh, people talked about the Broncos and the Raiders game. What about this game? And it's like, this game was fundamentally different. The quarterback play was fundamentally different. I think we actually saw, especially out of Jalen Hurts, really high level quarterback play. Like, someone in the comments were like, oh, Hurts is playing bad. It was like garbage this game. And I'm like, what are you talking about right now? Like, no, he's not. The one fumble is a fumble, and that does get credit against Jalen Hurts. But that was a great defensive play. I mean, he got hung up. He landed on another Packer play, which was just unlucky for him. So he was not down, and they punched the ball out. Right? That's just unfortunate. It's going to happen when you're a quarterback who handles the ball a lot. It literally just happened to Josh Allen. Happens to Lamar plenty. But what happened with Jordan Love, that's different. And I'll leave my comments for a more targeted Packers video, but you could see the difference. Jalen Hurts has really evolved into an absolute elite game manager. And that, it's so frustrating that I have to keep saying that this is so frustrating that I have to keep saying that, being an elite game manager is not a bad thing. You have to be. You have to be. It's how you win. You have to be an elite game manager to consistently win in the NFL, to be truly great. There's no such thing as an all-time great quarterback that's not also an elite game manager. You can't just be a game breaker and a game changer and not be an elite game manager. You can't. It's not possible. And so that's the part of Jalen Hurts' game that has continued to develop and grow and evolve that I just find so insanely impressive. I find it so insanely impressive. And in a game like this, that felt like this every play felt like it was the final 2 seconds of the Super Bowl. I mean, the tension, the intensity, the playoff environment. The Packers fans were going crazy. Lambeau, it's cold. You're on the road. Like, every play felt so intense. You felt so constricted of like, oh my God, any mistake. You knew it. This is the way how the score was. And this game has real repercussions for both teams. That's also partly why. And yet you feel any mistake here has devastating consequences. Devastating consequences. This is not a game where it's like, it's okay. Yeah, you threw it in. You fumbled. Whatever. It's okay. No, devastating consequences. And Jalen Hurts did exactly what he needed to do. And then he makes that huge play to Devontae. And so you got to appreciate that. You got to appreciate that. You want to see the Eagles play better, especially offensively. You want to see them be more resilient in these cases. And every time you keep winning these one-score games, it is unsettling because eventually you're like, Well, what happens when you don't win that one-score game? And what if it comes down in the playoffs where it is this one-score game, and this time, Devontae, it does go off his fingertips, right? Or, whatever. Maybe this time, Sirianni calls that play, and it doesn't go through, and now Jordan Love and the Packers kick that field goal, and they tie it up, and now you're in overtime, right? Like, it's all well and good when it's the regular season, but not the playoffs. But here is a clip, though. I don't ever really use local sports clips. I kind of just let the locals do their locals. I think I've only ever really used a Broncos local clip once, and I don't think I've ever done an Eagles local clip before. And usually I stay away from local media because local media just can kind of get a little wonky. But I came across this clip, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And considering Nick talks about, this media ecosystem and whatnot, and how tough Philadelphia is, it's like, well, this is now from their local media, who we know they're extra harsh on the Eagles, and I think this is from Jaws, who I think really says it's spot on. So I want to show you guys this clip.
And I don't like that. They haven't been scared of us in 7 weeks.
Yeah. So, Jaws, why don't you decide this for us then? Because are they nice win, but or are they the bona fide 7-2 NFC leaders?
Bona fide 7-2 NFC leaders. And every game takes on a life of its own. I thought both teams entered the game with a very conservative approach offensively. Kind of in the second half, I sense, okay, it's going to be a tight game. We got to make some explosive plays. The Eagles did make those explosive plays. That was why they won the football game. And the Eagles found a way. They're 7-2. And right now, if the playoffs started tomorrow, obviously we'd have home field advantage.
And that's what I want to highlight. The idea that each game takes an identity on its own. And I think that's always true. But boy, is that true this year, man. Boy, is that true this year. More than it's ever been. Again, just look at some of the Eagles games. Look at the Eagles versus Rams. Looked nothing like this Eagles versus Packers. Look at the Chiefs versus the Bills. Then the Bills versus the Dolphins. The Chiefs versus the Jags. Like, every game is so fundamentally different. And that's actually a core piece why I continue to be less impressed and less moved when, say, the Rams dominate the Titans or something, or the 49ers, because it's like, that's great. That's good. And it's why I've consistently said for the Detroit Lions, every time they blew out teams over these years, I'm like, yeah, that's great. But, like, that's not what it looks like when you play the Kansas City Chiefs. That's not what it looks like when you play the Philadelphia Eagles. That's not what and it's like, the Eagles right now are showing you that they can win in every different way right now. In every different way. And that matters. That matters. You don't want it to consistently be this type of game, obviously, and you don't always want to win these, always be needing a lot of things to go in your favor to win in a one-score game, which is why when the Eagles beat the Rams, I said, like, hey, that's a great win. That's exciting. Eagles fans should celebrate, blah, 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 blah. But also, you needed 2 blocked field goals. You can't rely on that, right? You can't rely on that. But at the same time, when you're looking at throughout the whole course of this season, you can see that this team is doing what it needs to do. They're not constantly on the receiving end of, well, that was fortunate that this happened, right? There's been years past for other various teams, and that was kind of part of the issue with the Chiefs. It felt like, man, you're on the receiving end of a lot of good fortune, and that's why people really didn't believe in them. And it's why people are struggling a little bit with the with Denver Broncos as well, where they're just like, yeah, you're winning games, but it feels like you're more on the receiving end of some football gods right now. Whereas the Eagles, from my viewpoint, they've had a couple of those moments for sure, but for the most part, they're out there kind of creating it. They're showing their own level of resilience. And to me, nothing shows that more than the Jalen Hurts throw to Devontae, which was a big-time throw and a big-time catch, big-time catch by Devontae, as well as Saquon Barkley, the spin move, ripping off whatever ended up being like 38 yards, 40 yards, whatever it was. And then the defense coming up with huge stops in gotta-have-it moments. That's not just like, boy, we're really lucky that this team did this, that, oh, boy, we're really lucky that so-and-so gave us 3 interceptions. Like, that wasn't the case. A lot of this was created. and not just relying on, say, the weakness of another team. I'm always slightly skeptical of a team that wins by relying on the weakness of another team, because then it's like, well, what happens when you go up against a better team, a team that's buttoned up? And it's what the Chiefs have been able to reliably do. I really think that the foundation of their dynasty is just like, we just lean on you because you are not as buttoned up as us. You are going to make the mistake. Your quarterback's going to make a mistake. Your defense is going to have a gap that we are just going to be able to lean on and break you. And they've been able to consistently do that because the league has just been lower than them. But then the moment they come up to a team that's like, hey, we're buttoned up too. Hey, we're ready to play. We saw that collision. That was the Eagles and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But you want to be able to do both. We're gonna lean on you until you break, but also if you're kind of unbreakable, then we're just gonna move you out of the way then too. Well, we're gonna move you out of the way. So it's been a bizarre season for every team right now. Every single team in the NFL right now. It's just been a bizarre season. So it does become increasingly difficult to be like, how do we take away from it? What is a takeaway from a 10-7 win in Lambeau on, against the Green Bay Packers, really cold game, and in a playoff atmosphere, and it's 10-7. And Jalen Hurts 183 yards and a touchdown, but a fumble, and Devontae only 4 catches, but 69 yards and a huge touchdown, right? Like, you're just like, how do I make sense of this? And it's tricky. I totally concede. I think it's tricky. And I'm not the type of person who's like, a win is a win is a win. Like, I always rail against that. Not all wins are created equal to me, and not all losses are created equal to me. This easily could have been a 10-7 game, but I'm just like, I don't feel good about this. Or I don't, yeah, they won. Yeah, they came away with it, but I don't know, blah, 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 blah. And for me watching this game, I'm like, you want the Eagles to be better. You want their offense to show a greater level of resiliency. Really impressed with their defense, and overall really impressed with this win considering how this game unfolded. And in these moments, Jalen Hurts continues to show that he has ice in his veins. And what more can you ask for in those moments at that point? Like, this is why it's so funny to me, is that a lot of people tried to push back on Jalen Hurts when I did my quarterback mountain or whatever. People are like, I can't believe you're playing Jalen Hurts. And it's like, watch the game. Watch the decision making. Watch the plays that Jalen Hurts had to use with his legs, either for straight scrambles for rushing, or scrambling to buy time. Like, what he had to do throughout the course of the game was incredibly high level against a great defense, a top defense in the NFL on the road, Lambeau, in a really intense environment right now. That is more impressive to me than Matthew Stafford running up the score against a bad 49ers defense. And guess what? It's more important right now to show what Jalen Hurts is doing against the Green Bay Packers defense than what Jared Goff and the Lions did against a decimated Washington Commanders. It just is. Now, how will these teams look when they face each other? That's all that matters. Like, that's ultimately all that matters at the end of the day right now. It doesn't matter that the Bills lost to the Chiefs. Or excuse me, that the Bills lost to the Dolphins. It's, how did the Bills play the Chiefs in the playoffs? It doesn't matter that the Colts got beat by the Steelers. It's, how did the Colts fare against, who could they play? The Patriots. Like, that's all that matters. The Eagles, they lost the Giants. Yeah, it was a bad loss. Really bad loss. They beat the Packers. They beat the Rams, right? They lost the Broncos. They'll only have to face the Broncos if they get into the Super Bowl, right? But it's like, that's why it's like, how do you fare against the Lions now? Like, that's massive to me. That's massive. I don't care even what happens in a few weeks against the Cowboys. I don't care what they look like against the Washington Commanders with Marcus Mariota. Like, that's where we're at with the season right now. Really, like, it's just that's where we're at, because these games, as Joel said, is really taking on an identity of its own. Each game is completely its own flavor right now. And it's just like, it's kind of a bizarre place to be, because it's like, I don't want to throw away the other games, but at the end of the day, it's like the Eagles are, when everyone's in the playoffs, you're looking at the Bucks, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Lions, and it's just like, all that matters is, how do you play against those teams? How do you play against those teams? What does your offense look against those teams? What does your defense look like against those quarterbacks? That's all it comes down to. It doesn't matter that A.J. Brown didn't do much against the Packers. What does he do against the Rams? Doesn't matter that Saquon Barkley, couldn't run as much against, whoever. It matters what does he do against the Lions? That's where we're at. So, fascinating season. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. I am trying so hard to build the best possible community that I can. I am trying to create an avalanche. I really am trying to create the best sports talk community that we can here, man. I really am trying to build just a community that we all are truly excited to be a part of, where we all can share our views. We all can kind of get out there and have interesting conversations and have grounded conversations, get in fights, get in discussions, but ultimately have fun. And it really starts all with you guys, not me. It's all you guys. When you guys watch the full length of the video, when you guys subscribe, that's what it's all about. And like I say, in some of my videos recently, it's like, I'm not trying to sell anything, not trying to get you guys to go to a different website, not trying to get you to download an app or anything. It's like, just be part of this community. Just watch the videos, subscribe, give a thumbs up, comment, whatever. Even if give a thumbs down if you don't like it, whatever you want. Just engage. Just be part of it. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm trying to do in this moment of time. So please don't forget to subscribe, and let's continue to build something special here. Thank you so much. See you next time.